Trust me, it's really hard for me to find something to drink in pubs here in the UK because I don't drink beer, and wine is basically just my go-to because I can't find a lot of good bourbons here in the UK. Whiskeys are good. I can find good whiskeys. Bourbon's a little bit harder. But it's a very American thing, isn't it? In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating or devastating world of drinking culture, depending on where you are and your perspective of it, I suppose. We're going to compare the United States and the United Kingdom drinking in each. So, as an American living here in the UK, I've experienced both sides, and let me tell you, whole different vibe across the pond. So, grab a pint, cocktail, or a cup of tea, and let's explore. First, let's talk about the legal drinking age. So, in the United States, the legal drinking age is 21. It's the highest in the world. This policy was established by the National Minimum Drinking Age Act in 1984 and has led to debates about the effectiveness and the impact on youth drinking habits, according to Wikipedia. I think this is crap. I'll just say it straight. When you're 18 in America, you can join the armed forces, you can purchase a gun, and you can own property, you can get married, you can smoke, and you can get tried as an adult in a murder trial. So why are you not allowed to have a drink? Now, I know that there is probably a lot of studies that showed that it helps if you raise the drinking age or whatever, but you start college in America at 18, and lots of kids go away to college, and it's your first real taste of freedom. I know a lot of people that go completely insane about drinking when they're 18. They don't not drink just because they're not 21 yet. It is very accessible to them. There's underage nights at the local bars in the college town. There's fake IDs everywhere. I mean, I had a fake ID when I first went away to college because I had to be able to get into clubs, and I didn't even really drink then. So I just don't think that it's effective. That's my second reason for thinking it's absolute crap. There's always a way to drink in America under 21 if you really want to. And then in contrast, here in the UK, the legal age is 18, which to me, it makes completely sense because you're an adult at 18. You're responsible for yourself. Technically, you can drink at 5 years old in certain circumstances. Don't lose your mind. I did lose my mind when I first found out about it. You're allowed to do that. Most people don't, of course. You're only allowed to do it like in the privacy of your home or something along those lines. There's more stuff about that. I'll link a video in the description box below about when I first found out, and a lot of people schooled me about the nuances that go along with it. This lower age limit of 18 to purchase alcohol in the UK just reflects a much more relaxed approach to alcohol in general, especially when it comes to consumption by young adults. You still have people going crazy and being excessive, and you still have alcoholics here. Drinking is obviously still an issue when it comes to things like depression or self-medicating. There are studies that suggest that the earlier introduction to alcohol may actually contribute to more responsible drinking habits. And I have to be honest that this has kind of been my personal experience. With our child, we never shied her away from drinking. If we were having a drink, if she wanted to taste it, we would just let her taste it. We, of course, wouldn't let her drink the whole thing, but she didn't want to. She doesn't like it. And even now, if she's a teenager, she'll have some wines or she'll have a taste of, my partner's beer, and she'll be like, oh, that's gross. I'm not ever having that. And she does not even think about drinking. We've just been open about it, and we have conversations about it, and we tell her the bad things about it. So I'm not really worried about her going insane when she turns 18, even though we live here in the UK and it's accessible at 18. Venues and social norms around drinking. So in the United States, we have a lot more bars and clubs. Most of the time, they'll have a strict entry policy where you have to be 21 or older to even walk in the door, and you will get carded at the door. I have some issues with this. Number one, there's always a way around it. As I had mentioned earlier, the whole fake ID thing, that stuff. It also creates a sense of exclusivity. That, to me, can lead a culture of like sneaking in if you know the bartender or something like that. Also, speaking from personal experience, if you're underage and you get in and you want to have a drink, someone's going to buy you a drink. Now, that might just be me, but I'm pretty sure it's not. So it doesn't really make sense, even though they're trying really hard to enforce this 21 and older law. I also know people under 21 and got served just because they looked older. Like people who were in the service, as soon as you show your service ID, you get served whether you're under 21 or not. And that's the way it should be. In the UK, it's more of a pub culture, and pubs here are community hubs. They're family oriented. They're where people gather of all ages to socialize. It is really, really common to see kids running around a pub, sitting at a bar, and enjoying meals together. These establishments are much more inclusive, much more relaxed, and also tend to be much more just laid back about the whole drinking thing. There's kids that sit at the bar here in the pub. They're not drunk. They're not going to get served. The bartender knows they're too young to drink or will question them if they're trying to order a drink. And that's exactly what happens in the US, but for some reason kids under 21 can't even sit at the bar or sit in the bar area in some places. It's just doesn't make any sense. Clearly, because the more relaxed approach here in the UK seems to be working. Public drinking laws vary significantly between the United States and the United Kingdom. So, in many parts of the US, consuming alcohol in public spaces is very much prohibited. It is one thing that I remember being a little bit of not a little bit, a lot of a culture shock when I found out that you're allowed to drink in public here. Not really looking to, I just thought it was really, really strange and it never made me think that it was like an infringement on my freedom before until I was in an atmosphere where it was actually allowed. And now I'm like, oh yeah, it kind of was. It just, I think, leads to a more clandestine drinking culture. And in the UK, public drinking is generally accepted. It's not like people are always walking around with drinks in their hand. And there are some places where it is still um, restricted. It's not uncommon to see individuals picnicking in the park or, watching their kids play with a beer in their hand. It's normal. And the openness of it actually fosters, in my opinion, a much more communal and less stigmatized approach to alcohol consumption in general. It goes back to the whole pubs thing and the communication. If the kids are exposed to it at an earlier age, it's not as taboo, and the whole novelty of it wears off by the time that they're actually ready to drink. Overall drinking habits and trends between the two countries. So I've read some studies that indicate that there's a significant portion of both British and American adults that admit that they have drank way too much. I am definitely one of them. I have drank way too much when I was younger in America. It seems like, though, the younger generations in both countries are just overall adopting healthier lifestyles, and a lot of them are choosing to not really drink at all, or at least drink less. I feel like this trend is much more reflected in the UK. And that could just be my personal experience, but in the US, when we were in the drinking age, we were in that partying stage, we were wild as hell. And alcohol was always part of it. But here in the UK, it just feels like there's more of like mindful drinking. Like there'll be festivals and things going on, but they will always have like a non-alcoholic beverage area. The whole culture surrounding drinking is so much more relaxed, and I just feel like there's a lot more people here that are more conscious and mindful of what they're doing when they're drinking, what they're consuming, and how it's affecting the rest of the culture. I think also here in the UK, you factor in that whole community vibe, right? That is here. It's really about the community. It's about the collective, about the whole picture, the macro sense. And when you're really drunk and you're acting a fool, you are disruptive. And that's just really looked down on overall in any aspect, but particularly, I think, in that aspect here in the UK. So I think that might have something to do with it. Those habits and trends that happen here in the UK are just starkly different from a lot of people how they handle alcohol in the United States. The last thing is the preferences of beverages. Americans seem to like a lot larger range of like cocktails and spirits, I feel like, with a strong emphasis on brand names, obviously, because we're all about brands in America, or what's trending in the world as far as what types of drinks famous people happen to be drinking. But in the UK, it's really primarily like beer and ciders and ales. It's not a whole lot of spirits. All the UK is just renowned for local breweries and traditional ales and that whole pub experience. The whole vibe of drinking, as I mentioned a few times here in the UK, centers around grabbing a pint. And a pint, of course, has a beer or cider. And I think that's just also has something to do with it because we're not doing a lot of shots like we used to do a lot in America or having really strong drinks like martinis or Jack Daniels on the rocks. What you're drinking definitely has a lot to do with the whole culture surrounding the UK drinking as opposed to drinking in the United States. So, really, whether you're in the US or the UK, drinking culture is a unique experience by far. I feel like the United States leads more towards regulated, very kind of taboo, secretive approaches to drinking, while the UK just embraces it and it becomes more of like a communal, open atmosphere. In my opinion, the UK is better, but I am curious of what you guys think. So you let me know in the comments below if you have a specific story. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time.